Okay, so I had a little technical difficulty. So back here in the States, um, the authorities have positively identified the body of the body of a couple, a Kentucky couple found in the woods, and authorities have confirmed that it is the body of the Kentucky highway shooter, Joseph Couch. They found him off of exit 49. It was just a couple that, is a guy's a retired police officer or something, and they call themselves bounty hunters, and they live streamed it on YouTube that they were out hunting for the suspect, the Kentucky shooter suspect, and they were out in the woods and they were hunting for him, looking for him, and because there was a reward up. $15,000 reward the police were offering, and then another private donor chipped in another $10,000. So it was a $25,000 bounty for Joseph Couch, dead or alive, wanted dead or alive. So that couple went out trying to find him. So this guy, he says he was a retired police officer. He had been a police chief for 40 years or something, and I guess they didn't have nothing better to do. They needed the money, but they went out in the woods and they went hunting for Mr. Couch, and they found him. How they found him is they said they saw some vultures swarming. They were helping the authorities, and they said they spotted a bunch of vultures swarming in a certain area. So they went down in the trenches and they found him. And they said that when they found him, that he had a gunshot wound to the head, which, like I told you, I thought he probably had done himself. I kept telling y'all, I said he's probably dead. I believe he's dead. I believe he made good on his promise that he didn't know if he killed, unless he had been listening to the news, if he had some type of cell phone or radio or something, or police scanner or something, and he was listening to the news, then he may have knew that the victims that he shot did not die, but his intention was that he was going to kill a bunch of people before he killed himself. And I think he thought that he probably did kill a bunch of people before he committed suicide in the woods. So they found him. Um, the couple found him and they got the reward. And they actually live streamed it on YouTube when they discovered his body. So yeah, the he's the man is no longer with us. The highway suspect is no longer with us. So I don't say that's a good. The streets are safe, but it was really sad and unfortunate way that this young man decided to end his life. So yeah, that's that. Follow up on the news with Sean Diddy Combs. He's still waiting. He's still currently incarcerated in Brooklyn, New York, at a federal detention facility. Um, he's under suicide watch now. They've placed him under suicide watch. We don't know if it's just standard operating procedure or precautionary measure, or if it was something that was necessary. We don't know Mr. Combs's mental state right about now. It could not be in a very good place, because he's a man who likes to be out and about, and he loves his kids, and he has 7 children, and he probably hasn't talked to his children. The kids are probably distraught because they have not talked to him or haven't seen him since he's been locked up now for about a week. And just the overall conditions of where he's incarcerated at are just really substandard from what the media is reporting. And so he's having a hard time right about now, and he's currently under suicide watch. So we're going to pray for Mr. Combs. We're definitely going to pray for Mr. Combs and pray for Mr. Combs's family in this difficult situation. And we're going to pray for the victims too, the victims, Cassie and all of the others who may have been traumatized as their experiences with, this whole entire situation. So there are no winners in this situation. I don't care how much money a person may get out of Mr. Combs. There are no winners in this entire situation. And like I said, it's just a message that I think that it's a spiritual message, being conveyed to the world and displayed into the world as we witness what's going on with Mr. Combs, where they show one video of him in one minute we see him, he's in the lap of luxury. You know, he's in the upper echelons of the music industry, the rap music and R&B industry. He's, you know, he's got TV, he's got music, he's got movies, he's got mansions, he's got cars, he's got jewelry. His kids are well taken care of. They're pampered, silver spoons in their mouth. Mom, family, just living a life of luxury. You know, and God will let us all see that. And a lot of people will long for that lifestyle. But then you don't know, then you hear little rumors and things about the personal life of Mr. Diddy and the things that he was doing, like the parties and the orgies and the things like that, and the abuse and the drugs and things. And, you know, you don't know if it's true or not. You just hear the rumors and things in the media and on the blogs and the message boards and things like that. But then the video, Cassie files her lawsuit when they break up. Um, no, first the children's his one of his baby mothers passes away, and there's a lot of speculation about how she died so prematurely in 2018 at the age of 47. Well, now they've got a book that supposedly is based off of her diary, and it's a book that just tells a lot of debaucherous, deviant sexual, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll behavior from herself and Mr. Combs and a lot of celebrities and people that they had in their inner circle. And it was released, it was published on September 6th. And it's, so far they said it's made Amazon's bestseller list. It's a bestseller on Amazon. So that's got to be even more hurtful for their children. Uh, just, you know, just to have that out there, you know, and purportedly being their mother's last words, Kim Porter's last words. And, you know, she's saying all of those things about herself and their father. So that's got to hurt the kids even more. So the kids are the ones who suffer the most in this whole situation. But we saw just the life of opulence that Mr. Combs experienced prior to his incarceration, and some of the things that he went through over the years with the deaths of Biggie Smalls, with the deaths of his, you know, the 9 deaths and at the concert, the charity concert, the 9 deaths of the people that attended the concert, the death of Heavy D, the death of Craig Mack, the death of Black Rob, the death of Andre Harrell, his mentor, um, the death of his children's mother, the death of his best friend, his bodyguard. Um, you know, we experienced Mr. Combs go through that, and then the shooting at the nightclub and with Jennifer Lopez, his girlfriend at the time, and it's just been so many things that we, as a public, we witnessed him go through in the media, and we were watching, you know, from the outside looking in, and then this thing with Cassie comes up when they break up, and she files this lawsuit against him last year, alleging all of these abuses that she suffered for the 10 years that she was with him, and this ended up with a video being released, which I am going to post that video of the hotel, in 2000. They said it was 8 years ago, so that was what, 2018, I believe. 2018 and it shows Mr. Combs assaulting Cassie. That was 2016. So it was 8 years old. An 8-year-old video resurfaced of Mr. Combs violently assaulting Cassie, Miss Ventura, and dragging her back into the hotel room. And the whole world watched that video. And this further just, it was downhill from there. It just ruined his reputation, ruined everything, just ruined his life pretty much. She got the $30 million settlement out of him. But then this video comes out, and this just was the nail in the coffin that just completely destroyed Mr. Combs' life. And it resulted in a grand jury investigation, and then subsequently an indictment and an arrest, and now his current incarceration. And I got the video of where, you know, he's been arrested at a hotel in New York because he was complying. He's going to turn himself in that next day, but for some reason they came and got him that night before and arrested him in the hotel lobby. So it's ironic that the video from 8 years ago in the hotel lobby shows him assaulting Cassie Ventura. And then there's this video that was released this week in a hotel lobby of him getting arrested and taken into custody by the feds. So isn't that something? Two of those two hotel videos that just completely destroyed this man's life. He's 54 years old. They said he's facing a minimum of 15 years in prison. So that's 54, 15 years, 69 years old. And with the feds, there's no parole, so you're going to give them 85%. So he's going to do anywhere from 12 to 13 years minimum if he gets 15 years. And I don't even know if the feds are going to even come with a plea deal. They may not, because they may have so much evidence and so many people turning on them, so many witnesses, that they may not even offer a plea deal. No bond right now, no plea deal. This is a complete example of how the devil can give you the world and snatch it right back from you, snatch the whole rug out from under you and destroy your life. That's an example. So also, one thing that we all will learn, and I said this in an earlier video months ago, a lot of your favorite celebrities that you look up to as role models, y'all looked up to as role models, your politicians, your preachers, your celebrities, your singers, your actors, your comedians, and all of that you looked up to as role models are on those videotapes engaging in some of the most wicked, debaucherous, devious, downright dirty, low-down activity, orgies, drug use, all of it, alcohol, you name it. Some of your favorite stars are in those videos, and that's why they are shaking in their boots. They are quiet. They won't say anything. They have deserted Diddy. But they used to be up under him at his parties, posing in pictures and stuff up under him, on vacation with him and stuff. Now, they completely went ghost, because a lot of them are in those videos, and a lot of marriages are going to be ruined. A lot of business relationships are going to be ruined. A lot of brands are going to be ruined. A lot of reputations are going to be ruined if any of that stuff comes out. So this is why people are saying that Mr. Combs is in danger. His life is in danger, because he might face the same fate as as Epstein. So suicide watch is a good thing for him right about now, and I hope that the guards in that facility are watching him pretty closely and making sure that he is safe. Yeah. So yeah, y'all, we'll have to wait and see on that. With the migrants, Donald Trump has made the announcement that he is going to visit Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, Colorado, to address the migrant crisis in those two cities. However, I put up two videos about the migrant crisis that's going on with Chicago and a little small town in Alabama that is now facing the migrant crisis. We didn't even know that Haitian migrants were in Alabama, but there's a video of a city council meeting about Haitian migrants. You know how the community is dealing with an influx of Haitian migrants in their community. It's a little small town in Alabama. And also what I talked about with the last video about the migrant gangs in Chicago are now clashing with the black gangs in Chicago. And there's a 8-minute video about how the gangs are dealing with that, and how at this point it is a powder keg. It is a bomb waiting to go off with those black gangs and those migrant gangs up there in Chicago right now. And I posted a video to just kind of show y'all what I was talking about, because I've been telling y'all this stuff is going to wind up like the UK, and going to wind up having to bring the National Guard into Chicago to do something about what's about to happen if these politicians do not put a handle on this. Now, Donald Trump said that he is going to just put an end and ban sanctuary cities. He's going to hunt down the migrants and deport them, which is going to be an easier said than done operation. It's not going to be that easy because these migrants are going to run and hide. They're not going to go willingly. These are violent. Some of these are violent people who cross these borders illegally. So they're not going to go willingly. Oh yeah, come on, take all my free stuff, all my benefits and everything, and take me back to my country that I fled from, where we don't even have clean water, and they left there for a myriad of reasons to come over here to America. But we're going to see. But even Donald Trump's presence in those towns may pose a problem. So he's going to make some campaign stops in Aurora and Springfield to address the migrant crisis. Kamala still has not really made any type of announcements for any policy plans of how she's going to address this situation if she becomes president. So we'll see. But I posted the stories up of how this thing is just getting more and more out of control. And I posted the stories now in how it's getting more out of control in Chicago and now in a small town in Alabama. We didn't even know that. Now it's, that's being publicized. So, okay, guys. So anything else comes up, I will try to be back on. But yeah, until then, be blessed, y'all. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, good afternoon, y'all. Let's just go ahead and get to it. There is a lot of news today. Um, Today is Monday, September 23rd. And there's been a lot of warfare going on over in the Middle East. I'm reading a news story right now that says that the fighting has escalated over there between Israel and Hezbollah over in Lebanon. And so far, with Israeli strikes, nearly 500 people have been killed, largely in South Lebanon today. And this is just one day, and thousands have been injured. Tens of thousands of people have been injured. Um, and it says it's the largest. It says analysts have called it the largest campaign of Israeli aerial strikes against the Iran-backed Lebanese militia Hezbollah since the war in 2006. So it says the death toll now stands at 492 people, including 35 children, as well as 1,645 people injured in this attack. This is just today. So Israel and Hezbollah, they've been trading attacks back and forth across the border since the war in Gaza began in October of last year. And Hezbollah's leadership says it's acting out of solidarity with the Palestinians and the Palestinian military group, the Hamas in Gaza. Hamas is just about defeated. I mean, they're pretty much wiped out. And plus, they have experienced extensive flooding over in Gaza in the past few days. So Hamas has been severely crippled. So I guess now Hezbollah is stepping in and they're helping them in this war. They have entered into the war with Israel now. Hezbollah leadership, Hassan Nasrallah has raised the red flag and said, it's on now, it's war. And the ground combat is going to take place any day now. Right now, they're launching missiles and drone strikes at each other, but it's soon about to be a ground war on the ground at any day now. So, but Hezbollah, as a result of, remember, Israel hit them with the electronic cyber warfare when they blew up the pagers and the walkie-talkies and the small electronics and things and killed a lot of people, injured a lot of people. And so this has been back to back. Israel has been tearing them up. So Lebanon, Hezbollah, they issued a strike in northern Israel yesterday. And I didn't get the death toll on that, but I know they struck Israel yesterday because, they're just getting, Hezbollah is getting bombarded pretty much. They are getting tore up. And it says Hezbollah vows a war of reckoning as exchange of fire with Israel escalates. And it's escalating every hour on the hour. I mean, because they are just going back and forth exchanging blows right now. So, yeah, this has mainly happened in South Lebanon today. And it says, in South Lebanon, residents describe how explosions from the intense Israeli aerial bombardment bombardment overnight lit up the dark sky. In northern Israel, sirens warning of incoming rocket fire wailed throughout the night and into Sunday morning as Hezbollah fired barrages of missiles deep into Israel than it has ever been for nearly 20 years. So, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a video statement that Israel had inflicted on Hezbollah a sequence of blows and said Israel was focused on its objective to return the tens of thousands of Israelis displaced by the fighting in the north back to their homes. So Netanyahu is not backing down up off of this no time soon. Hezbollah, Nasrallah, Hassan Nasrallah is not backing down no time soon. There's nothing America can do to stop this war from from escalating. America cannot de-escalate this war at this point. So, in response to the escalating and increasing violence that's going on with this war, America has now deployed more troops to the Middle East in response. So, I didn't know they had boots on the ground out there in the Middle East, but I guess, well, they had soldiers stationed out there, but now they are deploying troops now in direct response to the escalation of this war in particular now. They're prepared. America is being prepared because I think that the Biden administration now realizes that there's nothing, there's, sorry. The Biden administration has now realized that there is nothing they can do to stop this at this point. It's going to escalate to a regional war. And once America gets into it, Iran is going to get into it. And it's going to end up escalating into a world war because Russia and Iran have signed a new pact, a new treaty together. So this is going to escalate into a world war. There's nothing the Biden administration can do. There are no more peace talks, none of that at this point. Israel wants the Palestinians out of Gaza, and they're going to return their people back to their homes in the north regardless. So Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to stop until that goal is accomplished. Yes, and so the Pentagon has announced that the U.S. is sending a small number of additional troops to the Middle East in response to a sharp spike in violence between Israel and Hezbollah forces in Lebanon that has raised the risk of a greater regional war, the Pentagon said on Monday. That's today. So yeah, they sent, it said they currently have about 40,000 troops in the region. And on Monday, the aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman, two Navy destroyers, and a cruiser set sail from Norfolk, Virginia, headed to the Sixth Fleet area in Europe on a regularly scheduled deployment. The ship's departure opens up the possibility that the U.S. could keep both the Truman and the aircraft carriers USS Abraham Lincoln, which is in the Arabian Gulf, in the region in case more violence breaks out. So the U.S. is getting into position, because they know that this war is about to escalate. It's about to be on, and it's not, there's the peace talks is out the window. So the Biden administration, I think they realize now that they're going to either support Israel fully with this or they're not. And Israel don't need them to be trying to mediate anything any further because Hamas is not letting down. They're not backing down. And neither is Netanyahu at this point. So yeah, we got troops being deployed over there right now as we speak. But still, they don't know the whereabouts of Yahya Sinwar. Now they're saying that they think there's a possibility that he might have been killed this weekend in an Israeli strike in Gaza, but they're not for sure. They're saying that there's a possibility that he might be dead. So, but they don't know for sure because he's went black. There's no communication coming from him whatsoever, so they don't know his whereabouts. They don't know what his status is at this point because they've not heard anything. They have not seen hide or hair of this man. Last they heard that he was in the tunnels, so they don't know. They don't know where he is. So there's still a manhunt out for him. I look for the U.S. to put a significant bounty on Sinwar's head because they had what, like 5 million on Bin Laden, something like that. So I look for them to put like a $5 million bounty on Sinwar's head, and hoping that he has a Judas in his camp, or some type of bounty hunters or renegade mercenaries or somebody go after him and get him. If they have a high enough bounty for him, they'll go in those tunnels and get him for that money, and some of his men might even turn on him for that money. So um, he's one of the most wanted men in America at this point now, but they're hoping that he's dead, but they don't know for sure. So he's just dropped off the radar. They said that he's so elusive, they don't know if he was killed in Gaza or what, or if he's still down in the tunnels dressed as a woman. They don't know where he is. But the thing is, though, he can't hide in the tunnels forever. So something's going to give in that situation. He's not going to be able to just stay down there. But in the meantime, Ukraine has banned Telegram. Ukraine has banned Telegram out of concerns for Russian spying, because Telegram is owned. The CEO of Telegram is a Russian citizen. I don't know if he's still being detained in France, but I know France had arrested him in Paris, and he might be still detained in France because they said that he was allowing too much international criminal activity to take place on his platform. So they arrested him for that. But so I guess for as an issue of national security, Ukraine just outright banned um, Telegram in their country, just like America's about to do with TikTok, because TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, and or is it owned by the Chinese government? But anyway, either way it goes, they are going to, the U.S., it's only inevitable that the U.S. is going to ban TikTok. So I guess Ukraine did the same thing here with Telegram, to go ahead and just ban the platform because, they're at war with Russia, and a Russian citizen actually owns Telegram, just like the U.S. and China are not too friendly. And so, China has, been spying on the U.S., and they are allies with our enemies, North Korea and Russia and Iran. And so the U.S., it's only a matter of time before the U.S. bans TikTok, and that's going to piss off a lot of people, because a lot of people here in the U.S., they use TikTok, and a lot of them, that's their major social media platform, and some people make money off of TikTok. So that's going to hurt a lot of people once TikTok gets banned. I think probably before the end of the year, if not early part of next year, it's going to be completely banned over here in the country and over here in America. So, yeah. But Russia has committed a relentless air assault on Ukraine in response to Ukraine blowing up their long-range missile warehouse a few days ago. So Russia has retaliated with a barrage of air assaults on Ukraine. So that war over there is heating up right about now too. It's just getting crazy on both, on all ends. Speaking of other news, as far as like with the recklessness and people going on these hikes and climbing these mountains and being places where they're not supposed to be. They found a British couple, over in the Majorca Mountains in Spain. They found the woman, I believe. They found her a couple of weeks ago, and then they found her partner. They had been hiking in the mountains in Majorca, Spain, and their bodies had got washed up in the flash floods that occurred in that mountain range. And, they were killed hiking in the Majorca Mountains. And their bodies have both since been recovered. I think they were in their early to mid 30s, British couple. And then another young lady, I think she's 20 years old, American citizen. Her body was found in Devil's Peak. She was hiking in Devil's Peak near Cape Town, South Africa. And her body has been found. The news reports are saying her body was found today. Well, the report was released today. I don't know. I guess they recovered her body this weekend, perhaps. But yeah, she's 20 years old, young lady. She's from America. She'd been missing for a few days. And I guess they did a search and rescue on her. And they found her. This 20-year-old woman from the U.S. was found dead on a hiking trail on Devil's Peak, the Western Cape police said on Sunday evening, so they found her yesterday. Police spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Malcolm Pijoyi said a search party found the woman's body at around 1400. The body of the missing hiker was found in an area which is part of Devil's Peak and was retrieved by EMS helicopter. An inquest docket has been opened. So, another one. It's just an unnecessary death. The lady, her name was Brooke Chevrant from North Carolina, and she went missing noon on Saturday. And so, yeah, they found her the next day. Devil's Peak. I keep telling y'all, these people be playing with fate when they be taking up these adrenaline. I think they're adrenaline junkies, and they like to go on these dangerous missions, hiking in these mountain ranges and things like that, and taking these unnecessary chances with their life, and they end up losing their life as a result. You know, doing something like this, partaking in a leisure activity just to get on social media or take pictures at the top of a mountain range, hanging off the edge with their phone, like, look, I'm on the top of the mountain. And you risk your life and you end up falling off of there, trying to take a picture, trying to impress people and get attention. Testing fate, playing with your life. And this lady was just 20 years old. 20 years old. So, may God have mercy on their souls. But I don't know. When are people going to learn to stop doing that? Man. What else we got?
Now to West Asia, where tensions are rising. The region is on the brink of a wider war, and this morning things escalated further. Israel struck southern Lebanon with missiles. It attacked 300 Hezbollah targets, killed at least 270 people, and injured another 1,000. The death toll is only a preliminary count, so it is likely to rise. It is the deadliest day of Israeli strikes in Lebanon since the year 2006. People in Lebanon are fleeing the south. Schools have been closed and the locals do not know what to expect. Meanwhile, Beirut is calling this a genocide.
The continuing Israeli aggression on Lebanon is a war of extermination in every sense of the word, and a destructive plan aimed at destroying Lebanese villages and towns and eliminating green areas.
This morning, most Lebanese citizens received a text. It was from Israel asking them to evacuate. This is the first time Israel has sent a message like this, so it took people aback, including the country's information minister. His office too received this message, but he's dismissed it since. Lebanon is calling it psychological warfare.
For those who have not yet understood, I want to clarify Israel's policy. We do not wait for a threat. We anticipate it. Anywhere, in any arena, at any time. We eliminate senior officials. We eliminate terrorists. We eliminate missiles, and there's more to come. Whoever tries to hurt us, we hurt them even more. I promised that we would change the security balance, the balance of power in the north. That is exactly what we are doing.
You heard the Israeli Prime Minister. He wants to change the balance of power in the north, and this is how Israel is doing it. Their first goal was to reduce the threat from Hezbollah, and Israel did it with the pager explosions followed by the missile strikes. Then comes the second goal, pushing Hezbollah back. Israel wants the group out of the border area. And the final goal is to destroy their infrastructure, especially what they've been able to build near the border, the Hezbollah infrastructure. So the message is loud and clear. Israel wants to destroy Hezbollah, and nothing seems to be deterring them, not even the United States. Washington has been calling for de-escalation, urging for a diplomatic solution.
Mr. President, are you worried about rising tensions Yes, I am, but we're going to do everything we can to keep a wider war from breaking out. And we're still pushing hard. Thank you.
The U.S. doesn't want a wider war, but at this point, it's not really up to them to decide. Israel is going to do what it wants to do. What about the Hezbollah? What are they doing? The past week was a deadly one for this group. Their communication network was destroyed, their elite leadership was decimated, but their ability to strike back has not been crushed yet. On Sunday, Hezbollah fired more than 115 rockets into Israel. Most of them were intercepted, but the Israeli defense system missed a few. These rockets landed near Haifa, a city in northern Israel.
We heard siren, we ran to the bomb shelter, and then we heard a huge noise. And we thought in the beginning that it hit our house.
I feel more afraid, you know. I don't know what happened tomorrow, after tomorrow, this life.
So Israel is striking Lebanon. Hezbollah is trying to hit back. The world wants them to de-escalate, and residents fear that a war could break out any minute. None of this is new. Since October 7th, Israel and Hezbollah have traded fire almost daily. They've been pushed to the brink multiple times, but they seem to have an unwritten rule: avoid a full-blown conflict. That doesn't appear to be the case this time. All bets are off. This isn't just another escalation. This looks like war. And the Hezbollah leader agrees. That's Hassan Nasrallah. He calls it, and I'm quoting, a new phase of the war. We don't know where this ends. Meanwhile, in Gaza, it's a different story. For months, diplomatic efforts have been underway to broker a ceasefire, but that could be in jeopardy. Reports suggest that Israel doesn't want a ceasefire. In fact, Prime Minister Netanyahu has another grand plan. He wants to force all Palestinians out of northern Gaza. Why? To starve the Hamas and force the release of Israeli hostages. This weekend, Israel also raided Al Jazeera's office in the West Bank. It's been closed for now. Remember, Al Jazeera is a state-owned Qatari media outlet. Israel says it supported terrorist activities. The network has rejected this. So this is another front that Israel is fighting on, and it has its hands full. We're just days away from the first anniversary of the Gaza war. The world was hoping for a breather, a ceasefire deal that could bring peace. Instead, it's looking worse.
All right, a Fox News alert. IDF forces have hit about 300 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon today as Hezbollah is vowing a war of reckoning. The IDF confirming it has taken down 6 senior Hezbollah commanders, including at least one on the State Department's most wanted list. But the United States still warning caution.
Nobody, including Secretary Austin, is shedding a tear over the death of Mr. Akhil, who does have American blood on his hands. I think the world's better for not having him walking around on the planet anymore. But that doesn't mean we want to see a full-out war. We don't believe, again, that that's in the best interest of the Israeli people.
All right, here with reaction is retired Navy SEAL and author Jack Carr. Jack, good morning to you.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
All right, we knew this was coming eventually. I mean, Hezbollah kept shooting rockets into Israel. They're not going to just sit there and say, oh, stop it. They're going to do something.
Nope, and they've been provoked long enough. But really, the seeds of what happened today, what's happening over the last year, were planted back in the early 80s with the group we now know as Hezbollah hitting us first at our embassy in April of 1983, and then at the Marine Beirut barracks and headquarters bombing that happened on October 23rd, 1983. And interestingly enough, just this last Friday, we finally got one of the people who was involved in both of those attacks and an embassy annex bombing, which happened 40 years ago to the date this last Friday. So he's been taken off the board 40 years later.
Well, the United States never forgets when it comes to the bad guys. Here's the thing that's going on now, though. Hezbollah, last week, the beepers and the walkie-talkies started blowing up. We knew there would be a reaction. However, Israel has completely overwhelmed them. They haven't really been able to get off a good shot.
No, it's incredible what they pulled off, especially with first the pagers and then with the walkie-talkies the next day. It's a modern-day Trojan horse. This will be studied for decades, if not centuries. And obviously they use pagers because there are less listening devices on those than, say, on our cell phones right there. Cameras, photos, text messages, emails, those don't exist on the pagers. But what Israel did to get inside that supply chain, or perhaps to create the company years and years ago that then feeds these pagers into the system, and to so precisely target Hezbollah leadership through these pagers, that is unprecedented and will be studied for decades.
No kidding. It was absolutely brilliant that it worked, and they pulled it off before those guys were able to figure it out in Lebanon. Let me ask you this. For the people sitting, Jack, here in the United States, worried about a larger war, is that one of your concerns?
Oh, it certainly is a concern. And right now, that's really the ball's in Iran's court. Not necessarily Hezbollah, not necessarily Hamas, but Iran. And what they learned from the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing is that terrorism works. And unfortunately, we didn't retaliate in the wake of that event. We left in early 1984. So that taught Iran a lesson, and that terrorism works through these proxies. So they set the rules. And right now, Israel is shifting those rules a bit. So maximum pressure on Iran while supporting the Iranian populace. So we'll see.
Well, the United Nations General Assembly convenes this week, and it turns out there's a Reuters story out this morning that it sounds like Iran is now willing to talk about nuclear stuff. But isn't that just so coincidental? All this stuff is going where they are helping Hezbollah fire off at Israel. Now they're going, oh, you know what? We want peace.
Oh, certainly. And there's this maximum pressure also includes other countries in the region as well. Israeli Special Operations Forces about 2 weeks ago did a very audacious mission into Syria, hitting a precision-guided weapons facility, also a Russian listening post. There's a Russian component to a relationship with Syria. They put Israeli Special Operations Forces on the ground, went inside this facility, blew it up from the inside because they couldn't hit it from the air, and used drones as a blocking force for the first time. So Israel's on the move.
You've been thinking about this for a long time. He's written a great book. It's called Targeted Beirut. Jack Carr, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thanks so much.
All right. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
In other news, the mastermind behind the October 7th attack, Yahya Sinwar, is reportedly incommunicado, and Israel is investigating the Hamas chief's whereabouts. Israel is investigating the possibility that Sinwar was killed in a rocket strike on Saturday. Rocket strike on Saturday that the Israeli Defense Forces claimed and said that the attack targeted a Hamas command center. However, Israel's intelligence agency Shin Bet and the Israel Defense Forces have said that there is currently no evidence confirming Sinwar's death. The Hamas leader has a history of going underground in the past. He has evaded the Israeli Defense Forces for 11 months since the October 7th attack. Earlier, during IDF's ground offensive in southern Gaza, multiple reports had surfaced which suggested that Sinwar was either wounded or killed in an airstrike. Sinwar is a Palestinian politician who has been the chairperson of the Hamas Political Bureau since August this year because of his involvement in anti-occupation activism held at the Islamic University in Gaza. He was arrested multiple times by Israel in early 1980s. Since the October 7th massacre last year, Israel has assassinated dozens of Hamas leaders. They include military wing chief Mohammed Daif, Khan Yunis brigade chief Rafa Salameh, and deputy chief Saleh al-Aruri, among many others. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was also killed in Tehran this July. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We do have some breaking news out of the Middle East. You're taking a live look at Haifa in Israel. We've learned that the United States is sending additional troops to the Middle East in response to a sharp spike in violence between Israel and Hezbollah forces in Lebanon that has raised the risk of a greater regional war. Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder did not provide any additional details on how many additional forces or what their directives are. The U.S. currently has about 40,000 troops in the region. And this is a statement from the Pentagon, quote, "In light of increased tension in the Middle East and out of an abundance of caution, we are sending a small number of additional U.S. military personnel forward to augment our forces that are already in the region. But for operational security reasons, I'm not going to comment on or provide specifics." So that's the very latest statement from the Pentagon as we continue to follow this breaking news. Now, the new deployments come after significant strikes by Israeli forces against targets inside Lebanon that have killed hundreds. And as Israel is preparing to conduct further operations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday warned Lebanese civilians to evacuate their homes ahead of further airstrikes. Today's Israeli strikes killed more than 270 Lebanese, and it is the deadliest strike from Israel in Lebanon since 2006. Meanwhile, Hezbollah launched more than 100 projectiles toward Israel on Monday. That's according to the military, reaching deep inside Israel, including around the northern city of Haifa and parts of the occupied West Bank. Most of the missiles were intercepted, but 2 people were slightly injured from falling shrapnel in northern Israel. A number of homes suffered direct hits. Now, school was canceled in northern Israel on Sunday and Monday, and Israelis were instructed to stay close to protected areas. The Israeli military said they had struck more than 800 Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon and were expanding the operation to include a region in eastern Lebanon. The Israeli military announced that it hit some 300 targets Monday, saying that it was going after Hezbollah weapon sites. The military said it was expanding the airstrikes to include areas of the valley along Lebanon's eastern border with Syria. Hezbollah has long had an established presence in that valley. We did want to share that very latest news as we have learned from the Pentagon that the U.S. is sending additional troops to the Middle East in response to a sharp increase in violence between Israel and Hezbollah forces in Lebanon, and that has raised the risk of a greater regional war.
Ukraine bans the Telegram messaging app on official devices used by government officials, military personnel, and critical workers, as it believes Russia can spy on both messages and users. The National Security and Defense Council announces the restrictions after its intelligence agency presented the council with evidence of Russia's ability to access Telegram messages, including deleted ones, as well as users' personal data. After the decision was announced, Telegram issued a statement saying it had never disclosed anyone's data or the contents of any message. Telegram is heavily used in both Ukraine and Russia and has become a critical source of information since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Telemetrio data says about 33,000 Telegram channels are active in Ukraine. Ukrainian media estimates 75% of Ukrainians use the app for communication, while 72% see it as a key source of information.
As heavy fighting continues to rage between Russia and Ukraine, both sides claim significant damage inflicted on each other. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in the United States to present Kiev's so-called victory plan to end more than 2.5 years of brutal war, while the battlefield remains ablaze with relentless attacks. Here's a report.
Russian forces have intensified their assault on Ukraine, with the southeastern city of Zaporizhzhia taking the brunt of the bombardment. Ukraine accuses Russia of using glide bombs to target civilian areas in Kharkiv and Zaporizhzhia, causing widespread destruction. Russia claims to have launched a hypersonic missile to destroy US-made HIMARS rocket systems used by Ukraine. Aerial footage shows thick plumes of grey smoke over the sky in these images released by the Russian Defense Ministry. Moscow also boasts precision strikes on Ukrainian howitzers and tanks. In an attempt to counter Ukrainian drone strikes, Russia improvised its tanks with makeshift armor, creating what it calls turtle tanks. Kyiv released these images showing its forces quickly destroying several of these vehicles, demonstrating that Russia's wartime innovations are far from impenetrable. Ukraine also claims to have successfully neutralized Russian air defense systems. But Moscow's pain runs much beyond the battlefield in Ukraine. Ukraine in the past 1 week has struck 2 large ammunition depots deep inside Russia. Kyiv has doggedly targeted Russia's military assets, including ammunition sites and air bases across the border, as it tries to damage Moscow's ability to wage war. These attacks on Russia's military assets have become a crucial component of Kyiv's calculus as it seeks to level the playing field against an adversary with overwhelming firepower. While the war rages on the battlefield, Ukraine's President Zelensky's trip to the US is an effort to rally more military aid and international support. He's set to present his victory plan to President Biden as well as presidential hopefuls Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Russia, closely watching these developments, has stated it will review any official proposals that are presented. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Spanish police said Friday they found a body where a British hiker went missing after flash floods with his partner who was found dead. Emergency services had been looking for the British couple since Tuesday in a mountainous part of Mallorca Island, which became flooded due to torrential rain. Police recovered the body of one of the missing, a 26-year-old woman, on Wednesday, but had continued the search for her partner. The Guardia Civil Police Force, which is in charge of the search operation, said Friday they had found the lifeless body of a young man who, in the absence of legal identification, corresponds to the young man who disappeared last Tuesday. The search had been complicated by rough weather on the island, which had been lashed by heavy rains and wind gusts of over 120 kilometers, that is 75 miles per hour. 10 other tourists trapped by the floods were rescued, police said. The Mediterranean island, known for its picturesque beaches and sunny weather, is one of Europe's most visited destinations. It is especially popular with German and British tourists. Reporting from Mwanzo TV, I'm Kasi Mwanjiro.
Breaking news: 20-year-old American found dead on Devil's Peak, Cape Town. Today, we bring you tragic news from South Africa. A 20-year-old woman from North Carolina, USA, has been found dead after going missing on a hike on Devil's Peak in Cape Town. The Western Cape Police made the heartbreaking discovery on Sunday afternoon. Devil's Peak scene of the tragedy. The victim, identified as Brooke Chauvrant, went missing on Saturday at noon while hiking the popular Devil's Peak Trail. A search and rescue mission was immediately launched to find her. According to police spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Malcolm Poggi, Brooke's body was located by a search team at approximately 2 p.m. on Sunday. It was retrieved by an emergency medical services helicopter. An inquest docket has been opened and an autopsy will be conducted to determine the cause of death. Brooke Chauvrant was a vibrant young woman from North Carolina, exploring the natural beauty of South Africa. Her tragic passing has left her family and friends in deep sorrow. Her father, Steve Chauvrant, shared the heartbreaking news on Facebook, asking for prayers during this unimaginable time. He had planned to fly to South Africa to assist in the search for his daughter. Our hearts go out to the Chauvrant family during this difficult time. This tragic incident is a reminder of the potential dangers of outdoor adventures, even for the most experienced hikers. Thank you for joining us as we cover this tragic story. Please leave your thoughts and condolences in the comments below. Stay safe, and our prayers are with the Chauvrant family. Take care.
You found him? Oh, my Lanta. You are watching video filmed by Fred and Sheila McCoy. They're the two people Kentucky State Police credit with finding a body believed to be that of Joseph Couch, the suspected I-75 shooter. KSP says the two found the remains yesterday afternoon in the Daniel Boone National Forest, close to the exit where the shootings happened.
We're still waiting for a coroner to identify the body, but police say there are several clues leading them to believe it's Couch. WHAS 11's Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Emma Gefter report from Laurel County.
There was a couple, Fred and Sheila McCoy, advised the troopers that they were also in the area searching for Joseph Couch. Almost immediately after that interaction between troopers and the McCoys, the troopers and McCoys stumbled upon an unidentified body.
That body, Kentucky State Police say, was Joseph Couch's, bringing their nearly 2-week-long manhunt to a close. Along with a weapon, items found with the body led KSP to believe it's Couch. Troopers stumbled upon the McCoys, who will get a $25,000 reward for their find while working in the area near I-75, exit 49.
And then we observed those vultures. And then that was one of the things that we said early on that, may be a clue for us to see.
Can you tell us how far away from the shooting you found this body?
We still have detectives out there in the scene processing, and I don't have that information there at this time.
KSP wouldn't say how long the body had been there either, but it's on the way to Frankfort for an autopsy. Sheriff John Root says he hoped for a different ending.
I want prayers for the victims, also prayers for that family. He's a human being, and I wish we could have took him alive. It just so happened that we didn't.
One day after the shooting that wounded 5 people on Saturday, September 7th, Poor Boys on London's Main Street was mostly empty. Now, the crowd's back.
Everybody kind of get back into the routine. That's what I'm excited about, because you see people and they ask questions, but nobody knows the answer to them. So now we got an answer, and that's a good thing.
The big answer that matters to the people living their lives: this search is over. I'm Ian Hardwick, WHAS 11, on your side.
An ID on the remains could come as early as today. We also expect to learn the cause of death at that time. The McCoys found the body while live streaming. You can watch their full video online. We have a link to it in this story on our homepage.
Disturbing new video appears to support some of the accusations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
We want to warn you that this video you're about to see is extremely graphic. The surveillance footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her. So far, there's been no comment from Combs or his attorney.
Now to Sean Diddy Combs' investigation. New surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week. Our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Kotursky, is at the scene of his arrest. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, Robin. This is the hotel where Sean Combs was arrested a week ago. You can now see how that arrest went down. This morning, watch how federal agents took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs. His lawyer said Combs had come to New York 2 weeks earlier with the intention of turning himself in. He did not expect the agents to be waiting at his hotel last Monday night.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in. 1, 2, 3.
A day earlier, Combs seen out and about in New York with his family, seemingly in good spirits. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. At the center of the case, this 2016 video obtained by
Well, he is a man easily recognized, from Jerry Springer's bodyguard to host of his very own show. Steve Wilkos has dominated daytime television for decades. And now you can even find him trending on TikTok, of course. Steve is with us this morning. Steve, a big milestone for your show today. I want to talk about in just a moment. But first, we know you've been vocal about what's happening with Sean Diddy Combs. Can we start there? Where is his inner circle right now? I mean, why aren't we seeing them rush to his defense?
Well, I mean, it's hard to defend, especially when you're caught on video beating a woman savagely like he did. So, and you know, a lot of these people are complicit with his behavior. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of people come out defending him.
I know you were a Chicago police officer for, what, 12 years, right? What's your take and scoop on what life behind bars might be looking like for him right now?
Well, especially here in the facilities in New York, you know, you see what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's pretty miserable. He's very isolated, and I think he's probably knowing that he's probably never going to have freedom again. So I got to imagine the guy is in really bad shape.
Who do you expect to come forward saying, you know, I knew some of this was going on? Anybody on your radar?
I think there's going to be an avalanche of people, but any big names? Again, I just from what I understand, just from what I'm reading, a lot of these celebrities were partaking in these freak-offs that they were calling them, and I got to imagine a lot of them are going to be running for the hills.
Yeah, I know he's close to a lot of them. Are wondering if Usher, Justin Bieber, anybody might come forward. Let's talk about your show. It's currently the second longest running syndicated daytime talk show, the 18th season premiering today. Huge congratulations to you. The landscape is always changing in television, and we know that to be true for network news as well. How's it changed for your show?
Well, you know, it's funny because when you talk about shows and ratings and everything, they were, you know, I started 30 years ago, and where we're at today, the biggest challenge is trying to attract a younger audience because younger people don't watch TV. They watch their screens, their phones, they're watching social media. They're not really watching TV. So that's the hardest part about TV right now is attracting the younger viewer.
Yeah. And as I mentioned off the top, Steve, I mean, you got your start as Jerry Springer's bodyguard back in '94. In a million years, did you ever imagine that you'd be signing on for an 18th season of your own?
I mean, listen, I went there to work one day of security part-time. I certainly didn't think I was going to end up with my own TV show. And, you know, even when I got my show and it was like a dream, you're right, like 18 seasons is eternity in TV. So I'm very fortunate to still be on the air. But yeah, 18 seasons, you know, I'm just thrilled to death.
Yeah, extremely blessed. You're doing something right. That's all I know. Your show touches on the gamut, right? It's relationship drama, it's family issues, it's substance abuse. What do you, when a viewer tunes into your show, say for the first time, what do you hope they walk away with?
Well, I hope, you know, the great thing about my show, and I explain it this way, when I was on the Springer Show was just pure entertainment. It was silly, it was fun. But every day I get emails from people that say, you know, watching your show changed my life. It made me get out of a domestic violence situation. It made me realize I had a substance abuse problem. You know, I was a sexual assault victim and I spoke up. And you know, I faced the people that did me wrong. So to have that type of show, and not only help the people that come on our show, but we also help the people watching at home, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, if you reach just one person in that kind of way, I mean, worth it, worth it. It's a calling, isn't it? Steve Wilkos, a pleasure to have you on. Thank you, sir, and congratulations. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Today, I'm announcing a new plan to end all sanctuary cities in North Carolina and all across our country. No more sanctuary cities. Uncle Sam, do you agree? Uncle Sam agrees. I had a feeling you would, right? You're great. As soon as I take office, we will immediately surge federal law enforcement to every city that is failing, which is a lot of them, to turn over criminal aliens, and we will hunt down, capture every single gang member, drug dealer, rapist, murderer, and migrant criminal that is being illegally harbored Every one of the top 25 worst cities are Democrat-run cities. We will get them out of North Carolina, and we will send them home where they belong. I will ask Congress to pass a law outlawing sanctuary cities nationwide, and we will bring down the full weight of the federal government on any jurisdiction that refuses to cooperate with ICE and these are great patriots, ICE and Border Patrol and our great Border Patrol. They're not allowed to do their job. They want to do their job. They're not allowed. Within 2 years, there will not be one single foreign criminal gang operated in North Carolina or anywhere else. You have a lot of gangs. Hate to say it, you have a lot of gangs in this state. Are there any gang members in the audience, please? Would you please raise your hand? So that's the choice. Kamala Harris will fly criminal migrants into every one of your cities and towns. Did you see that? They say, well, we've decided to get tough on crime. You know, like 2 weeks ago, because they want to try and get some votes because they're not doing so good. This issue is not a good one for them. But did you see? And then we learned that they're flying them in beautiful, big, fat, beautiful Boeing aircraft, just like that one, with more seats, actually. I have fewer seats in mine than they do. But they fly them in with beautiful aircraft. They fly them all over the country by the hundreds of thousands. They're flying in over the border. So they don't want to stop them because they're continuing the flights into our country. I will get every migrant criminal out of our country, and I'll get them out fast. We have to. We have no choice.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, as well as gang elders who have retired from the life, and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. And they aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump, who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls, and then infiltrate them in our community that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the black gangs, the leadership in the black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and there's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets, blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African American community.
I finally actually talked to one on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get a car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just like, I just be looking at it like they ain't got no Social Security number. Where they come from? He probably not even here legally.
They get right here, they get quick housing, quick funding, food. They get cars with no license. They can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here, and we still here starving. So what we gonna do about it? Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years. He drove us around the South Side and showed us areas where he said Trendo Awagwa and other criminal gangs are setting up shop and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of like a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now, you don't see them because they come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably by last week. He said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
They just, when you take over something, you just stand outside, and that's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns
Semi-automatics, anything you name, you're gonna see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. They come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang member who only gave his name as David on a particularly dangerous drug dealing corner on the South Side did not hold back when he talked about the influx of criminal gangs from other countries into Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country. Gangs that they would consider terrorist groups that are formed here. We are terrorist groups if we're in a gang. They let terrorists in our country.
The Reverend Corey Brooks also said to me he's disgusted with Democratic policies and said that Black Lives Matter, for example, has never reached out to help him or anyone else trying to improve conditions on the South Side.
Chicago is a blue city. Illinois is a blue state. There's no doubt about it that the majority of our neighborhood, they're going to continue to vote Democrat until they wake up. The good news is that there are a lot of people who are responding and waking up and saying, listen, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this. We're going to vote differently. And they're now accepting some of the values that I hold dear and some of the values that the conservative Republican Party holds so dear. And so for a lot of people, it's not about the person, it's about the policies that we're fed up with. And as a result, I think this is going to be the largest amount of people who have voted for a Republican president in Chicago that we've seen.
I also spoke to one Venezuelan man who was so scared of being identified that he put a hoodie on and refused to face the camera. He told me in Spanish that he had to flee the building where he was being housed because a Venezuelan criminal gang took it over. He said if they knew he was talking, they'd end his family's life back in Venezuela with one bullet. You know, what struck me the most about our week in Chicago was how intelligent and self-aware these gang members and ex-gang members are about their community. You understand when you talk to them that joining a gang and making big money selling drugs is often too tempting to resist when faced with the lack of other real opportunities to make money. And for a place known mostly in news stories for being bloody and violent at night, the area is like a village during the daytime. Everyone knows each other, and believe it or not, there's a friendly vibe. But we spoke to a lot of people, and their patience is being stretched thin. I would not be surprised to see the gangs here taking action once the Venezuelans try to get a real foothold here.
If you can't stop that, then we're going to have to stop it. You understand?
There's no way these people are paying their own rent, paid their way over here, or any of this other.
The bottom line is, you mad because they brought some black people in Silicon.
All right, now it's time for anyone to address the council. No action will be taken at this meeting. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for record prior to addressing the council.
A lot of people in Silicaga and the surrounding area are concerned about the migrant influx that we're seeing and how that's going to change our way of life. Maybe you don't live in town. Maybe you guys live in a nice neighborhood. Maybe the money is that great. I would like to know how much money you're getting from the federal government to ignore this problem or be complicit and enable it, because either way it's happening. And it's not happening against your knowledge. It's obviously happening in your city, so you know what's going on. And you wanted to shut down the meeting last time, which means we're going to talk about it this time and hopefully not shut down the meeting, because we have the freedom to speak in this country. And I wouldn't be here unless I saw that. But I found that very disrespectful and very much against our human rights here in this country. And also, with the influx of these migrants, it's against my human right to be trampled on and to have my economy and my housing prices skyrocket because of federal housing vouchers are going to raise the cost of housing in my city due to the influx of migrants. Okay, because we all know how that works. A landlord, all they have to do is just tell the feds that it's $5,000 a month for this little old one-bedroom apartment or whatever, and it's really only, what, $800 a month? But at the same time, we're getting their money from the federal government. It's raising prices on everything else around us in the community. It's hurting us. It's raising tax values on properties. And it's not people coming in with a whole bunch of money that want to spend money in Sylacauga and boost the economy. It's people that are coming here. They're not like immigrants of the past, all right? They're immigrants that are coming in here and getting free houses, free phones, free healthcare, and not having to do a damn thing for it because it's like an invasion. And as far as I know, all I see are military-aged males. When I walk into the Walmart around here, it feels like I'm in a third world airport. And I don't see a whole lot of families. So what's going on is what I want to know. And it's not fair. It's against our rights. We did not consent to this. And the people are pissed. I'm one of them. Apparently, I'm probably the only one that's here tonight, unless anyone else wants to add to what I have to say. But it's my duty as a citizen of this country to tell you what you're doing wrong and to stop it. And to respect our borders, respect the people of this nation, respect the progeny that built this nation, the ones that built this nation. And you realize you're opening a can of worms that is going to cause a whole lot of issues for our state. I've lived in other states, I've seen it, and you're gonna add to crime. You're gonna have different groups of people at odds with each other. It's not what you might think it is. In fact, it's the opposite of what they tell you it is. It's not always that great. And when you start having hotels and apartment complexes taken over by like-minded individuals when they all get together, what are you going to do? You're going to stop that? If you can't stop that, then we're going to have to stop it. You understand? So I want something to be done about this, and it's going to be done. Whether it's you guys or someone else.
I have a right to say what's going on in my town. And I hate my tax money keeps being spent in this kind of way. Because there's no way these people are paying their own rent, paid their way over here, or any of this other. My money is doing it, and I am tired of it. And I don't care if there's 10 or 200. I travel a lot. I still travel. And a lot of these people that are coming into our country, their countries are trashed. I've been to a lot of third world countries that are trashed. And that's what they'll do to our country. Don't tell me they're going to come over here and make it better. I've traveled too much and seen too many places that are a trash dump. If you go to the tourist areas, oh yeah, it's beautiful. But we always hire a driver and a car and go out to the countryside. Try that. Try that in Belize and the Panama Canal. All those, Costa Rica, all the islands. Just rent a car and go look, and that's what will happen to our country if we keep on and on taking in people that can't pay for themselves. I'm tired of it.
The federal government nor any private entity has any legal obligation to notify you or any other local government when they're bringing immigrants into your city. None. Morally, you might think it's right, but legally, they don't have to. It's amazing to me that such a small group of people is creating such disorder in this town. I didn't hear a peep out of anybody when there were Croatians working at Coosa Valley Healthcare. Nobody was asking about their immigration status, if they were legally vetted. We have a large Mexican population in this town. I don't hear anybody crying about their immigration status. Are they here legal or illegal? But then you go to all these restaurants and different businesses in town, they're working there. You still going there spending your money. I don't hear anybody questioning the immigration status of all the people from the Middle East that are buying up convenience stores, gas stations, and restaurants with Mexicans cooking in them, and you're going there spending your money, not concerned about if they're taking your money, their profits, send it back to the Middle East, supporting terrorism. Where's all this conspiracy about a few people who want to work coming from? You listen to all these conspiracy statements, the former president talking about they eating dogs and cats. Give me a break. These people are here just to get some work. You got people riding by where they live to see what they're doing, being nosy, instead of taking care of your own business. It does not make sense. You're not paying their rent, you're not buying their groceries, so why are you worried about who's doing it? Who's paying your rent? Who's buying your groceries? Let me finish.
I'm saying everybody had their turn. Again, we have to remain order and give respect to who's speaking. We gave everybody else their respect. Let's give the respect to the person who's speaking, please. And
then, you know, the federal government has always funded some immigrants. Do you remember back years ago when Baryshnikov defected from Russia? The ballet dancer? What did the federal government do? They gave him $10,000 a month to live on and bought him a condo in New York City. But you're complaining about them giving a few people $2,000 a month. You got people walking around here every day. You want to be concerned or something? You know what scares me? You put the police department on standby. That don't make me feel safe because of Haitians. You know what makes me feel safe? Get some of these people riding around this town with no work, riding on these bicycles and stuff, coming on people's property, opening their car doors, going in their cars, stealing stuff. In these houses that are abandoned with meth labs, riding up and down the street, doing drive-by shooting, killing innocent people. You know what I want the city council to consider? Putting some money into the drug task force so that the police, city and county, can get rid of some of these meth labs and these users around here. I mean, these people aren't bothering us. Why are we in such an uproar about it? 15 to 25 people is not going to upset the apple cart of this town. This is crazy. And to sit here talking about, hear the people talking about, we're going to take care of it. That sounds like a threat to me. What, you going to threaten somebody because the city council can't do something? So I think if the police department want to be on standby, maybe they should look at them and see what's going on with them. And that's where I am with it. Because the bottom line is, and y'all ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna say it, the bottom line is, you mad because they brought some black people in Silicon. And that's it.
There's been a lot of stuff posted on social media. There's a lot of things that people are saying. So the way I operate, I wanted to go and see them and see what they had to say. So and I also had an interpreter there. There's a guy that made contact with me. He's a pastor in Birmingham, and his original nationality is Haitian. So he's been here since he was small, so he speaks fluent in Creole and English, so he was able to help me translate. So amongst them, there was one that, you know, he spoke the most English. He was kind of just like the representative for everybody else. So the way it works is they are here on a visa. They do have papers. There's an 18-month visa. So they're being employed by a temp service. I don't know which temp service it is, but from what they were telling me, the temp service employs them, and then the assignments only last for 3 months. So when the assignments end, they just go somewhere else to find employment. So, and I also found out that there's like 200, you know, in Talladega that we didn't even know anything about. And so the way they find employment is really just from a word of mouth. So say the people that are here today, they may not even be here tomorrow. So if they can't find work here, then they'll just go to the next city, wherever somebody else is, to just find work. So there was a few, I know the ones that was going to church with Ashton, you know, there was a group of people going to church with Ashton, but this Sunday only one person showed up, and I asked them, I said, well, you know, where are they? They said, well, they were in the hotel at Jackson Trace. They're not, all of them aren't there anymore because they went to a hotel in Ellick City because they got hired at a plant there. So they said just the way it works, whoever calls, like a word of mouth, just say, I moved to California and I call Nate, hey, there's work here. Nate get on the bus, or we load up in the car, we go to California for work. So they're basically just here for the American, the American dream, just to work and provide a better life for their families. So, and I spent a good bit of time over there on Sunday. Ashton even came over. He came over with me because I had already been there with over an hour, because I sent the guy that I had made contact with. I actually sent him to church with Ashton so he could just help translate the services. So, and another thing to add too, like these people, they're showing up in different churches. And what's special is they don't even understand what's being said. They don't even understand what's being communicated, but they know it's a place of worship, so they're just going. They're going into the churches, they stay for worship, and they leave. So, I mean, I had a pretty good visit Sunday. So, I mean, as far as I know, they're just here for work. The same people that are here today, they may not even be here tomorrow.